So welcome everyone to the Raw Talk with, today we have Mr. Shujaa Mjasiri, and of course I'm your host, none other than Shamika Jones. I just want to welcome everyone who's going to be tuning in live with us today. And those of you all who are going to catch the replay, welcome, welcome, welcome. I definitely love to see your face in the place. I'm going to be trying to look at the comments that you put in the description box or the comment section below as much as possible as I engage with our guests today. But if you do not know me or you're new to the platform, I just want to again say welcome. But my name is Shamika Jones. I am the CEO and founder of Eat Life to Live Life, which is a nutritional and wellness company. I'm also a nutrition, a secondary ed and financial educator. And in 2021, I will be an author. So I'm very excited about that and also just bringing this information to you today. So let me introduce our guest for today, Mr. Shujaa Mjasiri. And he's going to bring a wealth of knowledge, but just so that you know who is in the room, let me just share a little bit of his background, okay? Shujaa has been a teacher of Transcendental Meditation since 2001. He received his undergraduate degree in accounting and a master's degree in Lean Six Sense Transformational Management Tools. He's got a master's degree also in educational leadership from Arizona State University and a near PhD in management science, all but dissertation. He's been practicing transcendental meditation for 40 years. He's also served most of his adult life being director of several non-for-profit organizations that serve urban youth. For the last 11 years, he's traveled the country implementing a program called Quiet Time that helps schools increase their academic performance and help children feel happier and less stressed. He's a lifelong learner, and his favorite pastimes is learning and mastering new areas of knowledge. He's currently the director of TM programs for the state of Mississippi and Louisiana, and he is also the founder and director of the Enlightenment Center, which provides education that helps individuals perform at their highest levels. Welcome, Shujaa. Welcome.
Thank you so much. And thank you for having me on your show.
You are welcome. Thank you for being here with me, with us. I just, as I've used this terminology before, you are one of my breadcrumbs, right, to this story of my life. And I'm so happy that I get to introduce this to the people who are connected not only to this platform, but people who I've had private conversations with my friends, my family, about transcendental meditation specifically. And we're going to get into the differences. I know meditation is kind of a trendy thing. It's a trendy word. There are different forms of meditation. They're not all the same. And you're going to kind of speak to that a little bit today. I'm so excited for people to just get this knowledge and information. So before we get into any of the specifics, outside of your bio and all the extensive things that you have done and are doing, just tell us a little bit about, your experience with TM, your journey toward transcendental meditation.
All right. Well, thank you so much for that. So what I'll say is that I went to public schools in Oakland, California. Okay. And I was one of the ones that graduated from high school. And, I say that because back then, anyway, some Oakland schools had statistics to where if you got 1,000 students that entered the 9th grade, by the time 12th grade comes along, there's like 250 left.
Wow.
So there's like a 75% fallout rate. Mm-hmm. So I was like one of the 250. And however, I graduated from high school unable to read and write.
Oh, wow.
And I was not one of the ones that cut school, skipped school. I was in school every day.
Okay.
So after 12 years of school, mm-hmm. I finished reading at like a 5th grade level according to the standardized test scores. Okay. And so that's kind of how I started. And so I was in I was in going to a school in California to learn how to read and write when I learned about transcendental meditation. Okay. And one of the other things that I experienced as a youth is that I was always angry and hated being angry. However, it wasn't something that I really controlled, because by the time I was done angry about one thing, another thing was happening. I was perpetually angry. Mm-hmm. And so I learned about this meditation. I went there for the very first time, and within 10 minutes, I could feel the anger going out of my body. That's how fast it was leaving. And I experienced a certain type of peace that I thought was not even possible for me. Mm-hmm. And so I said, if I don't get anything else out of this meditation, I'm going to do this. That was 40 years ago. It's impossible for me. And I've been doing this since then. Anything else out of this meditation? And so anyway, since the time that I've learned meditation back in 2001, I've had trained lots of, not myself personally, but lots of young people, because I've been very much into empowering young people throughout my entire adult life. And I trained dozens of young people. I had them trained in meditation. And what I observed is that each one of their lives just took off. Mm. And so at one point, I decided I wanted to become a teacher. That was in 2001. I did. I went to Salisbury, Switzerland. Spent 6 months on an intensive to become a teacher. Came back to U.S. after 9/11 in 2001. And I've been teaching meditation since then. I lost track of how many people I've taught, because I've taught in the thousands at this particular point.
Right.
And so that's a little bit about my journey with TM. And then in 2007, I started teaching pretty much full-time in schools, middle schools and high schools, mm-hmm. and basically traveled around the country implementing a program. This program, as you said, called Quiet Time. And what we've seen is school after school after school just experience phenomenal results. Yes. In their academic performance and their school culture just being happier. Kids felt safer, attendance rates go up, citations go down, suspensions go down, all those good stuff that administrators like to see.
Yes, they do.
So anyway, that answered the question a little bit about my meditation journey.
Good. Oh, thank you so much for sharing that with us. And what I'd like for you to do is explain to us what transcendental meditation is. What is it?
So that's. So I'll start out just by saying, as you've already said, mm-hmm. there are many meditation programs on the market. And they fall in general categories. So for example, there's concentration type meditations. Concentration type meditation is when you focus your attention on a particular spot or something. So for example, if you focus your attention on your breathing, there's some type of meditation to have you do that. That would be a concentration type meditation.
Okay.
Concentration type meditation is great for helping you to learn how to concentrate, but it will not take you to the place that transcendental meditation will take you, which I'll describe in a moment. Mm-hmm. So there's also contemplation type meditations. Contemplation type meditation is rather than focusing your attention on one spot or one thing, you're going to focus your attention on multiple things. So for example, let's say you're contemplating on flowers. You might then have thoughts about all the different types of flowers, all the different parts of the flowers, all the different colors of flowers. It's all about flowers. Mm-hmm. But if you can imagine, imagine my hand is representing the waves at the top of the ocean. Waves at the top of the ocean. Mm-hmm. So if we know that there's waves at the top of the ocean where there's lots of activity going on, then you can just imagine that if you go down to the depth of the ocean, representing by my hand flat, Wavy at the top, flat at the bottom. At the bottom of the ocean, it's much more calm and quiet and still compared to the surface.
Sure.
Like that. So transcendental meditation is a type of meditation that allows your awareness to go from the conscious thinking level where there's all those thoughts, gotta go this, gotta go this, gotta do that, gotta all of this, what am I gonna have for dinner, what am I gonna have for lunch, all of these surface level thoughts. So with transcendental meditation, it allows awareness to settle down to deeper parts of your own mind. And what the scientists have said is that when you settle down, when your awareness settles down the different parts of the mind, mental activity becomes less and less. Until you get to the point to where there's absolutely no mental activity at all, it's just silence. And transcendental meditation takes your awareness from the active level of the mind down to silence in moments, short moments that happens. So the difference between the other meditation, concentration and contemplative, if you're concentration, your mind stays at the surface because you're concentrating on something which creates thoughts. If you're contemplating, you're also contemplating on something that produces thoughts. So transcendental meditation is very different in the sense that it allows the mind to transcend. So for example, the word transcendental, it's about transcend. Transcend means to go beyond.
Yes.
And if you look up, do Google search, you find that meditation means thought. So you got transcend, which it means go beyond, and then you have thought. So transcendental meditation is about going beyond thought. And where does thoughts take place? At the conscious thinking level, lots of thoughts. So your awareness slips into a place deep into the mind that's still, it transcends or goes beyond the conscious thinking level. So that's the difference. So another thing that I'll say is transcendental meditation is easy, it's simple, easy to practice, and simple to learn. So that's a little bit about, now one thing I will say, because generally speaking, and not so much today, but in the past, when people thought about meditation, they automatically thought about religion.
Yeah. So
I'll say that this particular meditation is non-religious in nature. Meaning, if you think about religious practices or religions, there is a set of beliefs that comes along with the religion.
Yes.
And then there's a set of lifestyle practices that comes with the religion. Transcendental meditation has nothing to believe in.
Right.
There's no beliefs. And also there's no lifestyle changes required in order to practice it. Right. So it's just a technique that allows for the massive reduction of stress. So to sum it up, transcendental meditation is a mental technique that allows conscious awareness to transcend or go beyond the conscious thinking level to a place deep within your own mind that's quiet, that's still, that's calm. It's a place within you of inner peace. Already there, always been there. Transcendental meditations allow you to access it. Non-religious in nature, simple and easy to learn.
And that it is, that it is, as a TMer myself, yes. So I want to focus on stress itself. Stressors come from, environmental factors. Stressors come from, internal environments, our bodies internally. And so how does TM actually help with that process to mitigate stress? Does it get rid of it? I'm sure people are saying, well, how is that going to help me feel less stressful? And how long do I have to do it in order to feel the effects of living a less stressful life? Because we need some eustress, right? Some good stressors in our life, but it's when that overwhelm from the stresses in our life kind of take over, we don't function properly. So how does TM actually work to help us with our stress levels?
Okay, well, that's an excellent question. So, and I'll talk about that for a minute. So how does Transcendental Meditation work to handle stress? So let's just say a little bit, again, what is this stress?
Yeah.
Okay, so if you go to the doctor, you're ill, and the doctor examines you, and then the doctor will tell you, go home and get some blank. What?
Rest.
Go home and get some rest. Yeah. And why?
Because we our stress levels decrease during the sleep phases.
Okay, so the doctor knows that 70% of illness is related to overwhelm of stress. The doctors know that. What we don't know is the solution to stress. So the doctors will say, go home and get some rest, because the doctors know that it is the rest that reduces the stress. And by reducing the stress, then the healing takes place.
Yes.
Right. So what I'm saying is, specifically, what the neurophysiologists and the medical community have established and learned is that it's deep rest that gets rid of stress. Okay.
Yeah.
So now just imagine the modern lifestyle. We are accumulating so much stress in the day through fatigue and overwhelm. And then we go to bed at night. If anyone have had the experience of feeling very stressed, you go to bed at night, you wake up in the morning feeling much better.
Yeah.
What happened during the night? Well, the body got a state of rest, and this rest just threw out the stress. Okay, however, because of modern lifestyle, many people have had the experience of going to bed stressed and waking up in the morning stressed. How many have had that experience? When I'm doing my presentations, most say they have. All right, so then Transcendental Meditation then is a supplement, not a replacement.
Gotcha.
It's a supplement for the rest that we get during sleep, because we're not getting rid of enough stress when we rest at night. Because let's just say, for example, we accumulate 100 units of stress during the day. And then in the night, we're only going to get rid of 50 units of stress. So we go back into the next day with 50 units, and then you repeat that day after day after day after day. Finally, a person will get to the point to where the stress is so huge that they just become overwhelmed, burned out. And once they can become burned out, they just can't think clearly. So the way the meditation process works, in order to remedy this situation, you come to learn to meditate, you're going to get two things. If you ever learn Transcendental Meditation, you're going to get two things. These two things are, one, you're going to get something called a mantra. A mantra. Generally, in my presentation, I tell people that, and say, well, what in the heck is a mantra? Well, I would say that's a good question.
Yeah.
So mantra is just a word or phrase. So if you think about any word, right? Let's just say apple, right? There's apple, it's a word. So a word has the sound of the word, apple, and it also has the meaning of the word. So there's sound and meaning to every word.
Yep.
So the mantra is just a word that has zero meaning. No meaning, it's just sound. And you use this, you get this mantra when you come to learn it, your own private mantra. You get the mantra, and then you also get the instructions on how to use the mantra properly. So when you put two of them together, the mantra and the instructions, and use that, and then that is when this process starts to take place that I described earlier, when awareness begins to go to deeper parts of the mind and ultimately ends up at this place of inner peace. Mm. So you just have to imagine, there's a place inside all of us that's a place of inner peace. Inner peace, already there, always will be there. It's there right now. Yeah. So these two things that you get, the mantra and the instructions, allow awareness to move from the conscious thinking level where it always is, all the way down to the depth of the mind and experience this inner peace. Mm. Okay, from a scientific point of view, this is significant, because when your physiology, your human body and your mind are both at this place, if you connect your self to an EEG machine at that particular point, the neurophysiologists have shown that the body is at a phenomenally state of deep rest. Yeah. The mind is at deep rest, something called the alpha state. Mm-hmm. And when the mind is at a deep place of rest and the body is at deep state of rest, then stress is released and dissolved by the truckload, because we've already established that it is rest that allows for the reduction of stress. And so Transcendental Meditation takes the mind and body at a place of rest that's deeper or twice as deep as that of sleep. And this experience of deep rest for just 20 minutes is enough to throw off the stress that you've accumulated in the day. And if you do this meditation twice a day, every day, not only will you get rid of the stress from today, you'll also get rid of the stress from yesterday. Mm-hmm. If you keep meditating regularly, that's twice a day for 20 minutes, over time, you'll then get rid of the stress from yesterweek, and then yestermonth, and then yesteryear, and then yesterdecade. If you meditate twice a day over time, long enough, you'll begin to dissolve the stresses that you accumulated during childhood. And that is how Transcendental Meditation works to dissolve stress. Awesome. By taking the body and mind to a place of deep rest, and the body and the mind does the rest. Our stress runs away from rest. Okay. That's awesome. Just the deep rest dissolves the stress. Awesome. I love that. And I'm glad that we're talking about resting, because I know that when I've had conversations with people about transcendental meditation and what they've come into knowing about meditation, or different forms of meditation, a lot of people say, oh, I tried that, it doesn't work for me, I just fall asleep. When we know, right, because we've been in TM retreats and they've been wonderful, resting and quote sleeping is encouraged. And so when I hear people say that, it's just like, oh, well, great. You already doing what you're supposed to be doing. You halfway there. Right. And so I think sometimes when I'm really glad that we're bringing this information to people so that they understand that there are different forms, and it does work physiologically and neurologically a little bit different than what people may realize. So thank you for that. I appreciate that. Now let me just say something about that sleep part. that you just mentioned.
Yeah.
Because it would be good for people to note. So because the meditation takes your body and mind to a place of deep rest, many of us, because of our lifestyle, we have a backlog, accumulation of fatigue from not getting enough rest, not getting enough sleep. And so if you have a sleep deprivation, any person has a sleep deprivation and they start to meditate, they're most likely going to experience sleepiness, which, as you said, is a good thing because your body needs that sleep and you haven't been giving it. However, if you do not have a sleep deprivation, then your body and your mind is going to experience explosive energy, not sleep.
Yep.
Right?
Yep. Exactly.
And so if you need to sleep, then you're going to get sleepy if you've been accumulating that. Yeah. But then after you've gotten rid of all of that fatigue, then you can expect just a burst of energy in your life from getting rid of the stress.
Yeah. Thank you. I also want to say to that point, I just want to paint a picture for people who are watching either live with us or on the replay. I was someone who never rested well. I could never get a full night's rest, ever. Okay. And so that was kind of in addition to some other things, because I was struggling with some mental health issues at that time when I met you. And of course, that was my main reason why I wanted to do TM, is because if you could help me release, or relieve, or through TM, I could relieve the symptoms of depression and anxiety that I was experiencing, then maybe I could sleep well and I could get a good night's sleep like I had never done before, right? Ever since I was a child, just never rested well. And when I tell you the first night that I did TM, I was like, am I drunk or what's going on? Like, I felt so rested that night. I will never forget that. With everything else I had going on in my mind and my body, I felt like I had one of the best night's rests of my life. When that happened for me, I said, oh, this is going to be an addition to my routine of self-care from now until I leave this earth, because it was a blessing. It was a godsend. Nobody, if you're someone who doesn't struggle with, sleep and all that, or resting, you have no idea how good I felt.
Right.
That night. It was an amazing experience. And I knew that I wanted to tell everyone about it. I wanted to tell everyone, but I knew that there was some controversy around it, as you've kind of hinted at, especially in the religious sects and communities. And I was just kind of hush hush about it. I didn't want to be judged, or I just didn't want to be judged by it. You know what I'm saying? But I kind of I released that, and I'm like, you know what? I had to do what was best for Shamika, and God wouldn't have blessed me to run into you for us to connect in a school, right, that I worked in as a teacher, and opening up this quiet time program and the Transcendental Meditation Technique to all the teachers who wanted to take part in that. God wouldn't have done that for me if, if I didn't need to explore that. He wouldn't have done that for me, right? So I am so grateful that you represent one of my breadcrumbs, right, to my healing and my restoration. I don't think that I would have told a different story today, because today would have come, but I would have been telling a different story. I don't know what it would have been, but this is the story that I'm telling, and how TM was just such an integral part, in addition to my self-care practice and regimen. And because I'm a teacher, of course I have an affinity for teachers and teacher mental health. We've had conversations about teacher mental health in recent years in my career as a teacher, and how a lot of administrators are becoming more sensitive to the need that teachers really do need to take care of themselves, and all people do, but specifically because that's the industry that I'm in, education. It was just so important that I spread that word and just share my story with people. And I've been able to have a platform to actually share the gift of TM with other people. So I'm just grateful. I'm grateful for it all.
Very good.
So I wanted to kind of go a little bit more into what we've been seeing in the nation through the pandemic, and we spoke a little bit more about this prior to us talking today. But there's been some interesting research, and Shujaa actually got some accurate statistics to share with you. And this is coming from the KFF, the Kaiser Family Foundation. They put out a poll and a study on the effects of the pandemic on mental health. And what they found is that over 30% of adults in the US now are reporting symptoms consistent with anxiety and depressive disorders. They share in their stories by saying that worry and stress related incidences due to the coronavirus have had a negative effect on their mental health. And so as we're kind of opening up our nation a little bit more, I'm sure people are feeling freer, but they're talking about a second wave, of this happening. And so what does that mean? We're going to be back in a shelter in place again, But I saw how some people were very maladaptive in this season during this pandemic. And how I know something like transcendental meditation could help people adapt a little bit more and better, when something like this happens. I mean, what are your thoughts about just listening to those numbers or those statistics and your efforts and your purpose in life to just spread the word about what transcendental meditation can do for people? What do you say to that?
Okay, so it's all stemming from stress.
Gotcha. Yeah.
It's stemming from stress, and so I want to dive a little bit into this idea, this stress,
Okay.
to kind of paint a picture of how influential and overwhelming of stress can be, and how even people that feel that they may not necessarily be under a lot of stress could be under a lot of stress and not even know it. Yeah. Okay, so I want to give 3 examples.
Okay.
Of this to make this point. Okay, so now just imagine for those of you that might be listening to this, you just have to imagine back when you were just a wee little person going to school for the first time. Maybe you're 4 years old or 5 years old. And you've been in school for a week now, and the teacher have been talking about geography all week. And today is test day. And the teacher is asking questions about what she's been talking about all week. And the teacher asks, class, where is Africa? And you, very enthusiastic about being in school, and you raise your hand, me. And the teacher calls on you, and you stand up very boldly and proudly, and you announce, Africa is in Mexico. And the entire class burst out laughing.
Right.
And you say, I will never, ever raise my hand in class again. Because it is not what? It is not safe.
Yeah.
You can get humiliated by raising your hand in class. So you say, I will never raise my hand in class. But the message that you're sending to your internal self is, I will never participate in my life again that enthusiastically.
Sure.
And so your self-expression that was this big before that incident, all of a sudden, whoop, gets compressed to this big, your self-expression. And so this is what children will do. They'll make up stories about events, particularly stressful events. And that was a stressful event, having the entire class laugh by you getting the wrong answer. So children make up stories about the world and about themselves. So for example, they would make up a story that it's not safe to participate in class. Mm-hmm. But that same child will make up a story about themselves. And what do you suppose the child might make up? Already know it's not safe. The world is not safe. This classroom's not safe. Participating is enthusiastic, not safe. But they also may make up a story called, I'm not smart.
Yep. Yep.
And it is not an intellectual conversation. It's an automatic conversation that happens on the level of feeling. Because you're just 5 years old. Your intellect hasn't developed.
Yeah.
But on the level of feeling, what we make up is, I'm not smart. It's not safe. So here's a question. About how long do you think that stress that was experienced at 5 years old will last?
Oh, God.
How long will that last?
Oh, a lifetime, unless you disrupt it.
That stress can last a lifetime unless you figure out some kind of way during your life to dissolve it.
Yep.
But so not only the stress will last a lifetime, but also the conversation that came as a result of the stress, I'm not smart, will last a lifetime. Fast forward to my second example. All right. Now you're 12 years old. Okay. You're in the 6th grade. And that person, that special person that makes your heart sing, is just sitting a few rows over in the same class. And you've been contemplating all week long. And today is the day you're going to make your move. And so you pull out your white piece of paper and you write your note on the paper, fold it up nice and neat, and you pass it to your friend Joe, and he passes to his friend Sue. And through your peripheral, you can see that the note is getting to the apple of your eye. And that person at their desk, they open up the note very slowly, and it says, oh, you're the cutest boy, or you're the cutest girl in the whole school. Will you be my boyfriend? Will you be my girlfriend? And you can see the person writing their own note on your note, folding it up nice and neatly while the teacher's lecturing and passing it back across the room.
Right.
And as the note nears your desk, you can hear the heart racing just a little bit. And as the note arrives at your desk and you're opening it up, the heart is really racing. And you finally open up the note and it says, drop dead. How long will that stress last?
A lifetime.
A lifetime. That stress, that's an overwhelming stress that they call these days traumatic. You don't have to go to the war zone. And you say to yourself as a result of that event, I will never, ever open up my heart to another person again.
Yep.
Because it's not
safe.
Safe. It's not safe. You can get your heart broken by opening up your heart to another person.
Mm-hmm.
And what might you think the person may have made up about themselves? We know they're made up. It's not, the world is not safe. You can get your heart broken.
Right.
But what do you think they may have made up about themselves?
Right.
I'm not pretty.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not lovable. Whatever it is. And how long would the conversation last?
Forever.
Forever. So these were pretty big events. But they don't have to, you don't have to experience this kind of a big event. It could be as simple as you're 3 years old. It's your birthday. And all the kids are gathering around honoring you on your birthday. And there's a big, lovely cake there and lots of balloons there. And everybody is happy except you. And why aren't you happy?
Yeah.
Because your daddy didn't show up to your birthday.
Mm-hmm.
And to this day, now you're an adult. 1 foot in your relationship, 1 foot out. And still to this day have issues with people that's like your daddy, men. And so this is the result of stress that happens. And it doesn't just happen in our childhood. It happens throughout our life. An event happens, it causes an overwhelm on our human nervous system. And then it leaves an impression.
Mm-hmm.
That impression is launched into consciousness and will be there until you drop the body or find some intervention to dissolve it.
Yeah.
Most people never find an intervention because therapy will not dissolve it.
It's true.
Therapy will not dissolve stress.
Mm-hmm.
The therapist at its best will give you tools to manage around the stress,
Mm-hmm.
but not dissolve it.
Yep.
Transcendental meditation dissolves the original stress. And here's the example. Just take a 1 inch thick of metal, and it's 12 by 12, 1 inch thick. Mm-hmm. And you carve your name 1/2 inch thick in the metal. That's an impression.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
How long will that impression last?
Forever.
As long as that steel will last.
Right.
Which is into thousands of years.
Right. It's pretty durable.
Or at least a long time. So the point is, our human physiology tends to be like steel.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And an impression left in consciousness will last forever. Okay, but how about if you carved your name in wood? How long would that impression last?
Oh, not very long because it'll erode.
Not nearly as long as steel.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's imagine now that you carve your name in the sand at the beach.
Mm.
How long would that last?
Seconds to minutes.
That's gonna just last depending on the elements.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
The water could just come along and wash it away. It's gone in minutes.
Yep.
Right? Okay, well, how about if you carve your name in the lake with a big boat? How long would that last?
In a big boat?
You carve your name in a big boat and it creates waves. You carve your names there. Seconds.
Seconds.
As long for the waves to disappear.
Oh, yes. I got you.
Okay, well now imagine just carving your name in thin air. How long would that last? Instantaneously gone.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, here's my point. For those people who do transcendental meditation regularly over time, the human physiology, according to science, gets transformed from being steel and wood-like to being sand and water-like, in the sense that the impressions that's left by stress don't last long. So basically what the science shows is that people who meditate recover at a much, much faster rate than people that don't. So, and now in the relationship to pandemic, it may seem that all of a sudden it's pandemic and now I'm more stressful, now I'm more anxious, but that's something that's been there a long time and is now just having some trigger to make it be seen. But the stress has been there.
Yes, yeah.
And now some event is causing it to come out.
Yeah.
Like that. And so the meditation will deal with the stress no matter what caused it. Whether it's caused because of you now worried and concerned about being at home. Because think about the two incidents that I just gave. For example, the person that got their heart broken. Now that person could be in their adult life experience a lot of anxiety and worry about their significant other, because they are now projecting something that happened in their childhood into their future because of that stress. This person might not be there. Can I count on this person? What's going to happen? That's going to happen. They start to worry, and that creates anxiety. So the meditation takes the awareness from the conscious thinking level where all those aggravating thoughts are, because the anxiety shows up through the aggravating thoughts, which is just a projection of about what might happen in the future, a worry. And so it goes from those aggravating thoughts through progressively less and less active states of the mind, meaning less mental activity, less thoughts, less thoughts, less thoughts, less thoughts. And just imagine if you can arrive at a place within your own self that's completely still, silent, calm, just an overall experience of inner peace. That is what the experience of transcending is from transcendental meditation. And while you are at this place, the stress that you've accumulated in your past just dissolves. So here's the image. Imagine you've got a bucket. In your mind, there's a bucket. Your awareness goes down to this deep place. All the stress that you've accumulated when you experienced at this deep silent place, a bucket of stress comes out and dissolves into the ethers. You go back down again, experience some more, you get some more stress in a bucket, and it comes back and dissolves into the ethers. And every time then you meditate, you're getting another bucket out. However, at the same time that you are experiencing this silence, another bucket brings the silence, the calm, the still back up to your conscious thinking. Which means now it gets dissolved right there at the conscious thinking level, which make your conscious thinking just a little bit more calm, a little bit more silent. You go back in, experience some more calm and peacefulness, bring it back to the conscious thinking level. And after a while of experiencing that peace, bringing it back to the conscious thinking level, experiencing that peace, bring it back in the conscious thinking level, then as you're walking around in your day, you'll start to feel more calm, more peace. Just from alternatively experiencing that and bringing it up. And just after a while, not a long while,
Mhm.
you will be like, your life will be like being in the eye of a hurricane.
Mm.
Everything around you is turbulent, but you're sitting in the eye, feeling calm and peaceful,
Yeah.
while everyone around you is crazy stressed.
Yeah.
That is the effect of transcendental meditation, and not very long.
Yeah.
When I say not very long, I'm talking about within 3 months. This is what the research says. Within 3 months of meditating twice a day, every day, you start to feel these profound effects.
Yeah. Absolutely. Thank you. I just, as you were speaking, I just recall not only my own personal experience, but the students that were in the quiet time program at the school, and some of the students who usually had issues with, uh, behavior and being removed from the learning environment because of suspensions and things of that nature, and how after toward the end of that particular school year of the pilot program for the quiet time program, that there was a dramatic difference. And by the time I got them in their senior year, because I had seniors the last year I was actually at that school, they were actually advocating for the program to remain at the school because there was some change in administration. So we were trying to figure out how that was going to work. It was, Shujaa, it was absolutely remarkable to see those children, my students, advocate for themselves for something that had created healing for them. It was the most powerful thing that I had seen. They stood up for themselves because they knew that it was something they needed for self. That was part of their self care. I had never seen anything like that before, up until that point. And I'm like, wow, I knew that I had adopted it myself and that it had allowed me to go through my own healing and restoration from mental illness that I was dealing with at that time. But I felt even like they were helping to support the teachers because we were fighting for it. But what we told them is that your voice is louder than ours. So you're going to have to spearhead this thing. And when I tell you, it was like war in there for them. They wanted it so bad. And guess what? That's when you all came back into the school and reorganized the program. It was remarkable to me. And I just want to say that once you found something that allows you access to a part of your life that you didn't even know existed, you only thought or you prayed about it or you wanted it to come or whatever the case may be, but you're actually at the door, your hand is on the handle, and you can willfully open it up with all your power and might and step into that room. And there's a beam of light that's designed just for Shujaa. There's a beam of light just designed for Shamika and all of my students. That place is indescribable. And that's how I would explain or describe TM being for me. I know if anyone knows me, anyone looking watching this live, if you're watching on the replay, if you know me personally, and you've probably seen me go from a very reactionary place to a very proactive and responsive place. I'm usually the quote unquote voice of reason among my friend groups because I just see all sides of life. You see
Right.
what I'm saying? Now I'm learning how to master the different areas of life that I have really neglected, right? Because, and how that comes into place for you is just how it comes. I had to start with my psychology. I had to start with my health. And so that's where I'm on. That's what I'm on now. Hence, that's kind of why we're talking on this platform, right? So I just wanted to add that for those of you who are watching, it's powerful. It is not something to be played with at all. It is powerful. It can do some really great things in your life. And now that I kind of, as a segue, I I want people to know, like, well, why are you even talking about this? What does this have to do with eat life to live life? Or what does it have to do with transit? How do the two connect? Well, I will say that in achieving healing, you can do that gradually, slowly, or you can accelerate that process by putting good nutrition in your body as well. One thing that I always took notice of when we would go to our TM retreats, or we would have our group TM when we were actually meeting face to face in here in Chicago, we would always have something very good to eat afterwards. Very good, healthy, nutritious, mostly vegetarian, some vegan options as well. And I just remember that coupled with our practice of TM meditation. And what I want people to know is that you can accelerate this process by putting good, healthy, nutritious foods into your body, right? Your mind loves it, your body will love it, and you'll have a more effective, right, TM process as you begin it, if you decide to kind of move forward with learning it from Shujaa and his better half, Miss Jessie Mjasiri. But it really does help, guys. And so that's why I'm here to help educate you on how you can mitigate your stress nutritionally, so that when you add the practice or tool or strategy like TM, you can move fluidly through that process and release or dissolve these stressors a lot quicker and at an accelerated rate than you would if you were kind of eating a lot of processed foods and things of that nature. It really does make a difference. I'm telling you, it makes a difference, because when I first started, my health, my eating wasn't that great. I mean, I would eat pretty much what I wanted when I wanted. I ate out a lot. Even though I felt a lot better, I believe now, because I'm eating well and also meditating, it's really helping to restore my mindset, my mind, my psychology, my neurology, my physiology. Everything is really starting to come into balance for me. I'm eating, good fat, sweet potatoes, green leafy vegetables, all those foods, walnuts, all those foods help with the health and wellness of your brain, right? And development. And so, Shujaa, you can add to that, but I definitely want to say that, and that's where Eat Life, Live Life comes in to help you structure an eating plan to help you with your self-care process. But Shujaa, I'm going to turn it over to you, and maybe if you want to add to that, I'd definitely love to hear what your thoughts are.
Okay. Well, I'll add to that, but I want to go back to the students at Gage Park High School when we arrived there, because you're talking about the end result.
Yeah.
And I'll talk about how it was when we first arrived there. The principal of that school, Mr. Metcalf, had said that these particular group of 10th graders, they were at that time, were the absolute most challenging students he had had in his career. Mm. And that if you could turn around and make improvements in this group, you can make improvements with any group of students in Chicago. That's what he said, right? So we took that group of students on, and our experience was that they ran away from us. Mm-hmm. They ran far away. They didn't just embrace the meditation. It took us really working with the students and really working and showing our care and our love and our concern for them that start to bring them around. And so they started to come around to meditate one by one. Until after, I don't know, about 6 months or so it took till we had almost the whole class of 10th graders. Because we were treating them as it as a mission to go on. Okay. So then they came to meditation and meditated twice a day, every day. And then they did that for a whole year and a half. And now they're seniors, to when you experienced to where the funding ran out and we had to leave. Yeah. And those students then started to really advocate, like you said, to the principal, to other teachers, to where the principal then got some money from the board to where we were able to come back.
Yeah.
And so that was a transformation, to have them run away and then have them fight for it to get it back.
Yeah, exactly.
When it was there, they didn't know what they had.
Yep, they didn't know.
When it was gone, they said, oh no.
Exactly. Yes, it was a conversation every morning during that time. When is TM coming back? When is T? I was like, guys, we're doing what we can, you know. So yes, absolutely. Yes.
So along the other question that you said about the balance or the holistic nature of just being healthy. And so I feel very fortunate myself that when I was just 20 years old, I discovered a university called Maharishi University of Management, or Maharishi International University. It's changed the name now. Maharishi International University in Iowa. I went to that school, and that's where I got my first undergrad. And what I learned there was holistic living. So it wasn't just the meditation. The meditation was one component.
Right.
The other component was actually getting sufficient rest. Like, one of our jobs as a student was to get 8 hours of sleep every night. Right? You had to do that as a student because their thing was you have to feel your very best in order to perform at your very best. So the meditation, and now you got to sleep.
Sure.
But not only that, but they had this big, huge building that housed about 2,000 people. That you could fit 2,000 people in this big, round, golden dome. And every day, twice a day, everybody in that community went to those doors. There were two of them, two big domes, and they went there to meditate as a group. Teachers, students, administrators, janitors, no matter who if you worked at that school, everyone went to that dome and meditated twice a day. So then I learned that development of your inner life was so important. Development of consciousness. Development of consciousness. So meditation is about development of consciousness. In order to develop consciousness, you have to get rid of things that are blocked to the development of consciousness, called stress. Right? So it was all about stress. So now, not only do you have the meditation part, now you got the rest part, you got the development of consciousness part, and then they introduced eating non-GMO foods.
Yeah.
And so there they serve organic, and we know it's organic because they grew their own food.
Nice.
In their organic garden, huge organic farming. They're very much in it to this day, organic farming. This is time when organic food was not big.
Right.
And so anyway, and then we had to get at least 25 minutes of rigorous exercise in every day. So there's the exercise, rigorous exercise to get the heart, because it was a whole science to it. Get the heart rate up to the rigorous exercise, you got the healthy eating, you got to sleep, and then you got the development of consciousness through the meditation. Those holistic things. Anyway, I was introduced to that in my 20s. So fortunate. And I've stuck with that mostly my entire life. Being a vegetarian back in the days in the 80s when you couldn't find a vegetarian. It was the weirdest thing they thought we were, to be vegetarian and not eating meat. I did that, and I absolutely did that. I remember I used to, I would celebrate Kwanzaa back in the 80s. And you go to the Kwanzaa events, and that was the only place that I would find other vegetarians.
Okay.
People that were into the Afrocentric culture. Right? Back in the 80s, you find vegetarians there.
Yeah.
Other than that, no vegetarians.
I can imagine. This is a great day and age for people who are actually considering that as a lifestyle, because we have so many more restaurants and businesses that are catering to, you know, whole foods, plant-based lifestyle, veganism, vegetarianism, even Black owned businesses. And so I know that's a big thing for certain people. That's an important thing for me, but it is so much easier today than even when I first went vegan in 2012. I'm like, wow, how do I do this? You know, so very good point. And thank you so much for that. So Shujaa, I just want to thank you for all this information. I'm so glad that we did this today. If someone wants to get more information about transcendental meditation, I know I've been a liaison in that process for connecting people to you. But if they want to get information from you, how can they actually connect with you?
They can call me by cell phone.
Okay.
And so we do teach in Chicago as well as the other states that I mentioned. And should I just mention my phone number?
You can.
Which is 202. It's a Washington, D.C. number, but that's the number that I have because I've traveled around the country. And I got this phone when I was in D.C. So that's 202 area code 803 0174.
Okay, got you.
202 803 0174. And I teach Transcendental Meditation. I run the Enlightenment Center, which provides education for having individuals perform at their highest, using meditation as the base.
Gotcha.
Of that.
Wonderful.
That's my number.
Thank you so much. And if you guys want to come through me, I'm definitely in direct contact with Shujaa as well. I want to thank everyone who tuned in live. Thank you guys for your comments as I'm watching the comments come up on the chat, and just your attention. And also for those of you all who will visit us on the replay, I just thank you guys for being with us. So that's going to conclude our discussion on how you dissolve stress during a pandemic and really beyond the pandemic, just in life. And we got a very colorful explanation of how that works with a tool and a strategy called Transcendental Meditation. Again, guys, keep or stay tuned for the next Raw Talk, which is coming tomorrow. It's the rescheduled Raw Talk that was supposed to happen last week. We had some technical difficulties, but we look forward to seeing you there. We look forward to seeing you soon. And remember that, you know, when you eat life, right, and not just eat, but what you're consuming, right, if you're putting living things in your body, in your mind, in your soul, in your spirit, you can feel alive, which is the basis and the foundation and the concept of my holistic approach with Eat Life to Live Life. So I thank you so much again, Shujaa. Thank you for being with me and us today. We'll see you in the next Raw Talk, guys. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye now.